in our League of Intelligent Black People, I told you guys, everybody that's a part of the League of Intelligent Black People, I told you I'd answer your questions. And so there was a question that was asked that I thought was, pretty interesting, pretty thoughtful, pretty informative. And it has to do with the educational system. They asked me, do I agree or do I feel that the educational system is a scam? Do I think that the way we're being educated in America is problematic and fraudulent? Do I think that there are some issues that need to be addressed? And of course, the answer is absolutely yes, right? The thing that I thought about first when they were asking me about the educational system was, I was like, okay, it depends on which level you're talking about. Like, at what level, does the fraud occur? And really, the fraud kind of occurs at all levels, especially if you're Black. When you talk about the educational system, you have to sort of ask yourself, what is it that you need? Are they giving you what you need? And what does it cost for you to get what you need? Now, we know public education is technically free, right? We know that public schools, typically don't charge you a bunch of money other than taxpayer dollars that they use to pay for the school. And so in that regard, the cost issue is not as big of a deal unless you talk about the other costs. There are costs that are hidden when it comes to education at every level. There's the cost in terms of your time that you spend doing one thing is time that you could have spent doing something else. In finance, we refer to that as a shadow cost or an opportunity cost. So never think that anything's free. In fact, in economics, we have a term that says that there's no such thing as a free lunch. And what that means is that even if something's free, somebody pays the cost. So that's why I get on y'all, not everybody, not all of y'all. Some of y'all get it, some of you don't. But the people that expect Black businesses to do everything for free and to give everything away for free have to understand that if it's free for you, that doesn't mean it's really free. That just means it was free for you. Somebody paid the cost for that. Somebody had to give up something in order for you to have your free shit, right? In order for you to get whatever you wanted for free, it may be free to you, but it's not free to them. So you've kind of taken something away from them, right? Especially if you're talking about, Black businesses. Black businesses have to feed Black families. Black businesses have to, make money so they can put food in the mouths of Black children. So when you're asking a Black business to give you something for free, you're harming that business owner. You're harming that family. You're saying, hey, man, give me your time for free. If you really care about Black people, you do it for free. Because I've heard this a lot. And it's like, no, it's not really free because, if they're giving you their time for free, that's time that they're not able to spend providing for the people that they have to provide for. When you go to work, and I just look at you, I say, look, hey, man, look, you work at the post office. If you really care about my mail, if you really care about this country, you would go to work at the post office for free. You deliver my mail for free. And they be like, no, I can't do that. I got to get my money. Well, I'm like, well, the same way you got to get your money when you go work for that white man. Black business owners have to get their money when they're serving you, especially when you talk about the fact that Black businesses are already boycotted by 95% of the world. 95 to 96% of the world already boycotts Black businesses. And the last thing Black businesses need is to be boycotted by Black people, to have Black people that that will give more money to a white business, that will spend all kinds of money with white businesses, but won't support Black businesses, will ask for Black businesses to give them something for nothing. So I'm saying I had to throw that in there for everybody in here who's a hustling, grinding, trying to build something. Don't tolerate that shit. Don't, you ain't got to, gouge people, charge them crazy prices, charge them something fair, be reasonable, work with them, give them a discount if you want to, but, be cautious about too much free stuff because that'll drive you out of business. And then when you out of business, they'll still be going to their little job working for the white man, still doing all right. They'll still be going to the mall, spending money with white businesses like it ain't nothing. It's crazy to me. Somebody done spent $1,000 this month with white businesses, and then you go to the Black business and ask for something for free. Man, get out of here with that stuff. But anyway, so nothing is free. So with education, and when we talk about whether or not education is a scam or not, you start with the public school system, and it is fraudulent on a number of levels. The first, especially if you're Black, it triples if you're Black, but it's really true even if you're white. White people get scammed by public school education. White people are mad about what happens when they're in elementary, middle, and high school. And if I was white, I would be mad. Let me tell you why. Um, when you're in school, they're teaching you a bunch of stuff that has no relevance to adulthood. You know, when you're in school, they have you memorizing, like literally using brain cells, using neurons in your brain, time and energy that could have been used for something productive, learning a bunch of things like, um, the difference between a carbon atom and, and an atom that would be an oxygen or steel or whatever the hell it is. I don't even know. Like, I don't even know. I can't even use the right terminology because the shit was so uninteresting to me when I was in school. But, or memorizing stuff from old English literature. Like, I remember reading books, from 500 years ago that were written in London and asking myself, like, what is this shit? And why am I spending like valuable brain cells trying to learn this stuff, right? It was crazy. And then you really feel the fraud when you become an adult and you get out in the real world. And now it's real. Now, you're like a cop that, just went through the police academy, and they spent the whole time. They didn't imagine being a cop and going through the police academy, and instead of teaching you how to survive, like, how to like survive in the streets, they spend time teaching you like origami or how to fry chicken. Like, you'll be like, wait a minute, y'all didn't teach me what I really need to know. So it gets real when you get into adulthood. When you become an adult, you're like, wait a minute, I don't really need to know, like where George Washington was born or memorize, the capital of Wyoming. I need to figure out how to feed some damn kids. I need to feed my children. I need to know how to make an investment. I need to know how to buy a house. I need to know how to be a good spouse so my marriage doesn't fall apart. I need to know how to do things around the house, right? Shit's breaking down. I got to call the plumber and the carpenter and somebody else to fix all these things that I could have been learning how to fix myself when I was in school, right? And people will look down on trades, people that have trades, but the people that have the trades, actually, sometimes in many cases, they're doing better than everybody else. When the zombie apocalypse comes, or if God forbid, if Donald Trump, hits that nuclear button and all Armageddon happens and the world kind of falls apart, it's going to be the people that have real skill that can rebuild the world. It won't be the people who have these bachelor's degrees where they studied neo-feminist philosophy or whatever the hell it is that people will study in school. Like, that's not going to help you build what you need to build a nation, to build a community, right? So ultimately, I think that's the biggest part of the scam that happens when you're young. Now, when you're Black, obviously the scam goes deeper because the whole time, sorry guys, if you're on Facebook, my phone literally just fell over. If you're Black, you're spending all your time learning how to worship white people. You're learning how to seek validation from white people. You're learning all the wrong measuring sticks of Black success. Like, they literally teach you that Black history occurs, that Black history is made whenever a Black person is validated or acknowledged by a white institution. Like, they will tell you something really stupid. Like, they'll say, so-and-so made Black history because he was the first Black man to graduate from Harvard. But they never say, they'll never tell a white person, oh, this so-and-so made white history because they're the first white person to graduate from an HBCU. That's not white history for them. That's actually, in their mind, going to school with Black people would be going backward. But for you think that going to school with white people means you're going forward, when really you're not going backward or forward. You're kind of going just sideways. You're just moving from one world to the other world. What you think of as a come up really ain't a come up. What you think of as a come up is actually a come in, right? A come up means that you've actually elevated your stature. You're doing better in the world. You're a better, more qualified human being. A come in means that somebody has another institution that has a certain set of rules established around it, and they've invited you into that institution, right? So ultimately, for Black people, I think that we have to really think critically whenever they tell you somebody makes Black history. Like, I went off one time on a video because I saw in a Black media publication where they stated that they claimed that Tamron Hall from the Today Show, that Tamron Hall made Black history by being the first Black woman to be a host on the Today Show. And I said, I'm sorry, I love Tamron Hall. She's very talented, but that ain't Black history. that ain't Black history. Maybe it's white history that they finally realized that there's a talented enough Black person that could be on their network. Maybe that's white history for them, that y'all overcame 200 years of fucking ignorance that made y'all think Black people were never qualified for the job. So that could be white history. Absolutely. That's white history. That white people, that you finally figured out that we're more qualified than you in most areas, right? So you figured that out. Good for you. But that ain't Black history. A Black woman getting on to a television network owned by white people is not Black history. That is white people finally deciding that they found a Negro that is acceptable enough in their mind that they're going to bring them into their institution. So again, for Tamron Hall, the Today Show situation wasn't a come up, it was a come in. And you saw what happened with Tamron Hall when they got tired of her ass. She's out there on the street. Now Tamron Hall is doing shows on YouTube and stuff, right? And I no disrespect to her though. She's great, talented, very talented, but she was just as talented when, she's just as talented now as she was when she had the job, but now she doesn't have that job. I don't know what she's doing. I don't know how she's doing. I'm sure she's doing well. She's a smart lady, nice lady, but I had to make that clear. By the way, do me a favor, YouTube, please take 1 second, everybody, hit that thumbs up button. Facebook, please go ahead and, share, like, subscribe, all that stuff. And also, don't forget that tomorrow, Saturday night, I'm doing a lecture on my trip to China. I'm going to break down Chinese powernomics and how the Chinese have established the most dominant economy in the world. I spent a lot of time there. You guys know I was talking to you guys about it the whole time, so I'm not going to reiterate the trip to China. But I went to 4 different cities and interviewed a lot of people and studied the culture, studied 5,000 years of Chinese history to get an understanding of why they're able to push ahead economically. And this knowledge base is something that I think is critical in terms of bringing it back home. What we're doing is what the Chinese do. That's one of their principles, actually, is they believe, look, if you go out in the world and you get knowledge, you bring it back to China. Well, in my mind, I'm going out into the world, I get knowledge, I'm bringing it back to the hood, I'm bringing it back to the people. And what I've done is taken that little PhD I have, and I took everything that I saw and observed. And this is, again, from the perspective of Boyce Watkins. So it ain't perfect, but it's pretty deep in certain ways. And I said, what if we took the principles that the Chinese use to run their government to establish economic dominance, and what if we apply that to a Black family? Like, what if your family literally said, we're going to basically take some of these ideas and apply them to our family? And the reason it's a perfect model is because China is strong economically. They're a strong capitalist country, but they're not really a capitalist country. They're actually communist. So it's like, wow, you got this communist capitalist marriage that's really, really working extremely well. It's beautiful, because most of the time when people accept communism, they completely disavow capitalism. Or when they accept capitalism, communism and socialism become dirty words. But the Chinese are like, no, we're still communist, but we're gonna take all your money. I was joking with Alicia, Dr. Alicia, my significant other. I said, they need to call this tour, they need to call this country Break Yourself. Like the break, remember those gangster moves? They'd be like, break yourself, fool. Like over there, they did everything in their power to get that money. Like hustlenomics reigns supreme in that country. And the fact that I saw consistent behavior in every single city I went to, consistency in terms of how the businesses were structured, the sales process, the marketing process, all of that was so consistent. I said, this is a part of a master plan. Somebody from the top down put this infrastructure in place and trained a billion people to think this way. And now they're killing it. They're killing the game. For family, the orders come top down. Mom and daddy give the orders and the kids follow suit. So you get the whole family on board, and y'all come together with the family hustle, and y'all put it all together economically. And you got the intellectual infrastructure where, instead of wasting your time allowing your kids spending all their energy learning old English literature and all the bull crap that they teach in school, your kids are learning in real estate investing. They're learning how to run a corporation. They're learning, how to start a business. They're learning all the basics of how to get ahead economically. You'll dominate. You'll win. I mean, it won't be, what's the word? You won't feel oppressed like you do now. Like some of us do now. I'm not saying you feel oppressed, but a lot of us really feel that America is not a place for a Black person to ever get ahead or to be strong. And I think a lot of it is because they put you in this little box. And when you can't get out of this box and you're trying to figure out how to do things inside this box, you don't realize how much is outside the box, because you ain't never been outside the box. So when all you know is what's in the box, then you're gonna be like, man, I'm hungry. There's no food in this box. I want to read a book, but there's no books in this box. I need some knowledge, but there's no knowledge in this box. Well, my basic idea is get the hell up out the box. Because there's a whole universe of possibilities once you break out the box. So I'm gonna help you break out the box. The lecture is free, doesn't cost you a penny. Come on in. It's tomorrow night, Saturday night, 8 o'clock. Write this down. Somebody type this in. The URL to register is blackdragonfinance.com. That's blackdragonfinance.com. The reason it's blackdragonfinance.com is because I've titled the lecture "The Return of the Black Dragon," and I thought about the dragon. China is represented, by the dragon pretty heavily, and I thought about like, okay, what if you take a dragon and make him black, right? So let's blackify this and let's kick some ass with it and let's lay it down and break it down. And I got a whole model that you can apply, and you're gonna love it. I know you're gonna love it. But anyway, moving on. So in terms of education, the educational system, being fraudulent for Black people, I think that just at an early age, just the fact that you're trained on whiteness at such a deep level and trained to believe that whiteliness is next to godliness, I think that puts you at a huge disadvantage compared to the rest of the world, because basically you're not really being trained that there's anything good about who you are as a Black person. You're not trained to believe that just being Black by itself and being in the Black community alone is enough for you to be considered successful. Most people in America do not leave their communities. To get jobs, they don't leave their communities to be educated. They don't leave their communities to be successful. They stay in their communities. Black people are one of the few people that are in a forced migration kind of scenario where we are taught that if you don't get out the hood, then you'll never be successful. If you don't get away from Black people, you'll never win. If you don't get out of this scenario with all these other Black people and get surrounded by white folks, you'll never have anything, right? That's why you see celebrities that are surrounded by white people. Mostly celebrities, they get their money managed by white folks. They get, their whole business managed by white folks. Everything around them is managed by people who don't look like them. And so anyway, I think that right there is for Black people. Why it's not, the educational system is fraudulent for most Americans, but it's double fraudulent for Black people. I think also we as Americans are taught educational mediocrity. I don't think we're taught educational excellence. When I was in China and I was just kind of observing, just how they do education, how they treat their teachers, how they look at things. I told the tour guide, I said, when I taught a class in China, I have never been more respected as a scholar than I was when I taught a class in China. I never, you would think, oh, the Chinese students would be like, oh, we got this Black guy teaching us. We don't want to learn from no Negro. No, they treated me like I was some kind of a god. I mean, I had to get them to let their hair down and stop acting like when I walked in the room that it wasn't like the biggest thing in the world, because I wanted to connect to my students. I don't get into that whole like I'm better than you type of thing. And so anyway, I said, where does that come from? And I said, how do you treat your teachers like this across the board? And the lady said something very profound. She said, in China, we treat all our teachers very well because teachers teach the babies, and the babies are the future of China, right? So basically, she said that because they have the solemn task of training the next generation of Chinese people so their community can survive and to grow and to thrive, they treat their teachers extremely well, right? Now again, this is not to say China's perfect. We know China's got a lot of issues. I'm not going to say it's a perfect country at all. There is no such thing as a perfect country, but you can learn, from other people that have achieved the things that you're trying to achieve. So I think that, really, if I had kids now and I was going to educate my kids, I would totally not even want them to go to school, go to definitely not a public school. When I was in China, actually, there was this Mormon couple that was with us in our tour group, and they had a real a rainbow coalition of a family. The husband was a white man. The wife was Korean. They had 2 biological kids, and they'd adopted 2 African-American kids. They didn't go to Africa to get Black kids. They went to Alabama and Georgia or something like that. And I was happy for the kids because it seemed like the parents were good people, smart people, treated the kids well, were exposed them to a lot of good stuff. I'm gonna need 10 minutes. Okay. She came in and showed me a cookie and a bag of popcorn. And that's my cue to say, it's time to stop. It's time to shut off the live stream. We're about to go watch an episode of Better Call Saul. So So when she gives you that 10-minute warning, the Netflix and chill moment is about to begin, that's when I know I got to listen. I know how to take orders from a Black woman. So, and I love y'all sisters, by the way, for supporting us as men, even when we act stupid. We'll support you when some of y'all act stupid too. How about that? But anyway, so she's gonna get you fat boy swagging it. Nah, she ain't getting me fat actually. I've been working out like Rocky Balboa lately. I've been really happy with the weight loss. So anyway, man, I lost my damn thought. Oh gosh, where was I? Okay, so that's what it was. So the Mormon family, they had, the two Asian biological children, white Asian, and the two African American kids. And I wasn't mad at it. The father really loved the hell out of that baby girl, and I didn't know exactly what happened, but I got a sense that their actual parents were not there for them. And when that's the case, when the parents ain't there for the kids, if they can get love from somebody that's really going to take care of them and all that, I'm all for that. I wasn't like, oh, well, what's this white man doing with this black baby? I was kind of like, well, what's up with the baby's parents? This little child is so beautiful and precious and so smart. It makes me sad that her parents don't know what they're missing. So they would take their kids. Check this out. They would take their kids all around the world, like all year round. Like I said, how many trips do you, because we were in China I think they were in China with us on the tour group for about 10 or 11 days. And they said, this is a pretty short trip for us. Normally our trips, we stay for a month so we can really get used to the country. I said, how many trips like that do you make a year? He said 6. He said about 6, we go about 6 times a year. We gone to, I think they've been to like Egypt and Thailand and parts of Europe and South America. And these kids were getting this amazing exposure. And it was like, and I said, they said, we got to get our kids back so they can go to school. And I said, this is better than school. This is world schooling. These kids, they knew Chinese. They were literally, between the ages of 3 and 11, and they all spoke fluent Chinese. They were all able to communicate with the people in China. And so to me, I think an education like that, where you've just got the child right next to you, you've got them reading on a regular basis, writing on a regular basis, doing math on a regular basis, and then learning history on a regular basis and learning how to start a business. And then you're exposing them to things and just talking them through things, like educating them. That's the best education there is, because you're not just giving them like this on-the-job training in this big game called life. The ultimate job of surviving as a human being. You're giving them on-the-job training, but you're also kind of just giving them game. The whole time they're getting game as it pops up, as situations pop up. They're learning from you the same way, when you hear rappers talk about, yeah, I got game from the hustlers on the block. You know what I mean? They sat with me, they fed me, they put their arm around me and explained things to me when I was a kid. I think education should be like that too. I think that education should be something where you just got somebody next to you and you just giving them the game. You're just breaking it down. Like, don't do that. Make sure you watch out for that. Oh, you really want to get some of that, or make sure you figure out that, right? And I think that's the best education ever. Like, that's literally what I would do if I had another child. I would just have them with me everywhere and just give them game. You can't be next to me all the time every day and not learn something, because I'm always in teacher mode, right? And so anyway, with that said, so when someone asked me, do I think the educational system's a scam? I said, absolutely. When they talked about college, I said, of course it is. I mean, you're being put $50,000 in debt, or 80,000, whatever, and you're getting this degree that does not give you what you were promised. So you get out into the world, and because you don't have any skill, because you never learn how to start a business, you never learn how to make an investment, you end up in a position where you're worse off than people who just went out and learned what they needed to learn. So, think about this. You don't need a degree to start a business, but you do need a degree a lot of times to work for a business owner. So why is it that the person without the degree is making the decisions on whether or not they want to hire the person who has the degree? And there are a lot of people that have degrees who will come and try to work for real entrepreneurs who are really in the grind, who really know what's going on. And they'll be like, my God, this person has 3 master's degrees, but I wouldn't touch them with a 10-foot pole. Because the other thing degrees do, unfortunately, is they can make you kind of bougie. They can make you kind of, soft, like you just think everything's going to come out of a book, and that that you learned all the theories and now you know what to do, and you should be the CEO on day one. And somebody who's really been in the business, who's really in there, who's really knows what it takes to succeed, is going to just be laughing at you under their skin, under their breath. They're going to be like, wow, you really think you know what to do. You don't know what to do. You can't even make it in the real world. You can make it in a classroom, but those are two different skills. So I'm not trying to say there's not value in a classroom. I mean, my God, obviously that's not true. I taught, college students for a long time. I was a college student for a long time. I was a grad student for a while. The education helped me add value to my life. But what I can say is that after I had all that education, I was 31 years old and I had a PhD and I knew finance at an extremely high level. I didn't know a fraction then of what I know now. When I went out into the real world and learned, just real stuff and figured out how to solve real problems, I gained a level of understanding and capability that my colleagues back in academia don't have. A lot of the people I knew that teach at universities, they're scared of the real world. They don't want to engage with the real world. They don't want to connect with because they don't know how to survive in the real world. And so I think that survival skill is more important for young people. I think it's definitely more important for Black people. So that's why I encourage you to make sure that when you educate your kids, think about education like the food you're feeding them. You're feeding them the food called knowledge, right? And if you are feeding a child, you can give them like a standardized meal. You can give them McDonald's or Burger King, and that's what they eat every day. But we know what happens, right, with standardized food, right? It'll keep you alive, it'll sustain you, but it's not going to help make you healthy. It's really going to ultimately kill you, right? The public school system is like eating McDonald's every day. If that's the education that your child consumes, then it's going to ultimately poison them, and they're not going to typically be able to be successful. So if you really wanted your child to consume something that was going to be good for them, then you would probably not allow them to just eat something that's standardized. You would want something that's specialized. You would want them to eat healthy food, number one. You would want them to eat food that you prepare specifically for them based on their tastes, based on their health needs, right? So you have 3 kids, one child likes broccoli, so you make sure they get broccoli. The other one likes cabbage, so you give them cabbage, right? So they get to get their individual taste. So education is kind of like that too, where education is best when it's served in a specialized format where, somebody says, they look at me when I was a kid, they look at little boys and they're like, okay, little boys, he's kind of smart, but he's kind of energetic and active, and he likes sports, and he likes, he's a hard-hitting kind of boy, so he likes to do boy stuff. So we're going to create an educational process that allows him to get up, run around, jump up and down, stuff like that. Maybe somebody else though has a mindset where he likes to just sit still and do what like accountants do, right? He likes to sit and shuffle paper. So maybe we give him a type of education that's centered around that. But I think education is best when it's specialized. It's also best when it comes with that love and mentorship. That's why I believe Black children should go to Black schools, because Black teachers love Black children. Most Black teachers, I rarely meet a Black teacher who teaches lots of Black children who doesn't eventually form an emotional attachment to those children, because those children remind her of her children or remind him of the children in his community. So therefore, that love, when you lace education with love, that's when people listen. People listen to people who care about them. Point blank, period. So a lot of young Black men like me, when I was in school, I didn't listen to those white ladies because I didn't feel like they cared about me. I felt like they saw me as a threat. They saw me as worthless. So you're not going to listen to people who don't love you. So that's my 2 cents on education. I do think it's a scam. I think it's problematic. I think you want to find creative ways to educate your kids. Somebody said we should start a school. Believe me, we are working on that. In fact, when I say things to you guys, like when I invite you to join the League of Intelligent Black People, and I say there's a small fee, you're supporting the channel, stuff like that, it's really our continuous effort to raise money so we can do the things we want to do. So, when we say, hey, this is going to cost something, we hope you'll consider making this purchase. It's not a donation. We don't want it to be a one-way thing. It's us providing something that we believe will add value for you. We just hope that you'll trust us enough to want to make that investment. And what happens is it becomes recursive. That money that you put in comes right back into your community. There's 1,000,001 projects that we have followed through on by ourselves. No corporate sponsorships, no nothing, that have really had a huge impact on the Black community. So if you agree with that mission and you want to support, we do have a Black school, a Black-owned school in place already called the Black Business School. The Black Business School has Black scholars and attorneys and PhDs and business owners from all over the world who are teaching Black people. Like attorney Nicole Compton is a seasoned attorney. She's been a lawyer for 20 something years. She has a JD MBA. She was a single mom at the age of 15, and she still went on and graduated at the top of her class and all these other things. And she's a great attorney who is teaching people how to start businesses. She's also teaching people how to manage the law. We have a Black law school in the Black Business School, a law school for people that want to know the law, that want to know contracts, that want to know business, that want to know everything about the law that you would learn in law school. We were creative about it. We talked to the lawyers who are connected, like Demario Solomon Simmons, who's doing major civil rights cases with people like Benjamin Crump, and others. Attorney Tanya Nebo in Atlanta, one of the most prominent attorneys in Atlanta, and Dr. Venetia Dutra, one of the few Black women on earth with a PhD in finance, Dr. Claude Anderson, who wrote the book Powernomics. We have Julian Gordon, who went to Stanford University. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And what we did was we just said, look, let's teach our own people and teach them what we know, because we know a lot. So anyway, if you actually want to take my class, for example, the Black Stock Market Program, it's awesome. You'll love it. The first 30 days cost you nothing. The money gets reinvested into the community. Feel free, go check it out. It's theblackstockmarketprogram.com. That's theblackstockmarketprogram.com. The main thing, though, is I don't want you to do it because you're doing a favor for me. This ain't about me. I don't want you to do it for Boyce. I want you to do it for you, and I want you to do it for your community. You do it for you because if you're not getting more out of it than you're putting into it, then I don't want you to make that investment. I don't want you to be a part of it, because I want you walking away happy. Because I don't want anybody saying, well, I spent money on something for Boyce and I wasn't happy. I don't want that, right? But then too, when it comes to your community, this is not charity. This is not spending. Spending is wasteful. This is an investment. Because what happens is we're able to go to our funds and we can go back and we can call up Freedom Home Academy International and other Black-centered schools and say, we're going to fund a scholarship using this money that we have available, because the community is supporting and being connected to and investing in the Black Business School. Do you understand? And what is really true, and what I want you to be convinced of, is that we're not just as good as the white school that you might have gone to, where you might have spent $30,000, $40,000 a year. I mean, we have degree programs, everything. They're not accredited in the traditional economic system, because we're not trying to be part of that. We're trying to develop a new system. But we're not just as good, we're actually better. The reason we're better is because we know how to teach Black people. Most white universities don't know anything about how to teach Black people. They don't care about teaching Black people. They are contingent upon the idea that you have been convinced that a come in is a come up, that you have been convinced that them accepting you into their system makes you a more successful person. That's why they say, pay us $40,000 a year and we'll let you into our system. We might let you in if we like you enough. If we don't like you, if you're too radical, if you're too Black, we're not going to let you in. But if you play by the rules and do what we say, we'll let you into the system. So we have a system too. It's just a different system that I think is built that's more accommodating for Black people. So we have space for radical Blackness, all different kinds of Black, intelligent Blackness, whatever kind of Blackness you have. So feel free to go check it out. My stock market class is theblackstockmarketprogram.com. Feel free to give it a try. The first 30 days are free. We have a program for children at blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. We have the only Black business school in the world for children that we know of that's on this scale. We educate probably about 7,000 children all around the globe on the pillars of wealth: real estate, entrepreneurship, stock market investing, etc. So that's blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. So that's the spiel. That's the layout. Feel free to give it a try. I hope you'll consider being a part of this. Because we're not just talking about the problems with education, we are solving these problems. And when we get our capital at the level that we want it to, in fact, one of our faculty, Dr. Venetia Dutra, is about to do a Tulsa real estate kind of crowd fund. It's similar to what Tulsa did, what Jay Morrison did. And I love what Jay did. I supported it. But she's the first Black woman I know of on a large scale who's also going to go raise $1 million, and she's going to invest it in real estate. But the conversations I've had with Dr. Dutra as well have been that I would like at some point for you to help us to crowdfund some of the expansion that we want to do, because we want to build physical schools. We want to buy buildings. We want to be able to tell you, like, bring your child to our school every day. And the only reason we haven't done that yet is because we're still raising the money. But when we raise the money, we will let you know. I will be transparent. We'll break it down. I will call on experts. We bring people together. We have boards. It's not just me making all the decisions, trying to figure everything out. I bring in experts from all across the board, from Dr. Claude Anderson on down who helped me make key decisions on important issues. In fact, we're very, very proud because this year, Dr. Anderson's Institute, the Harvest Institute, they were struggling financially. People weren't supporting. They were like, oh yeah, Dr. Anderson, we love what you're doing, man. We love you, man. You're the best. But wasn't nobody writing no damn checks. White people write checks for the institutions they support. That's why not Harvest, the Heritage Institute and all these other think tanks are doing so well, because people support these institutions. What nobody supporting Dr. Anderson? He has celebrities calling him. He said, go check the videos. He said the celebrities would call him up and want to talk about Powernomics and how great it was. And nobody was helping him run the institute, like financially. Nobody was helping him with these lawsuits, these expensive lawyers that he had to pay to file the reparations lawsuit. He filed a reparations lawsuit on behalf of Black people and was paying for it by himself. I said, you should not be paying for this by yourself. So we single-handedly, again, with the money that you're paying us, and I'm laying this out there so y'all just know how the game is working right now. With the money that you guys pay us to do certain things, we probably put about $100,000 into the Harvest Institute this year, between buying Dr. Anderson's books, to paying his speaking fee, to paying all kinds of stuff. I told Dr. Anderson was willing to come in and do a lot of stuff for us for free. I said, no. We're going to help elevate you. We want to lift you up. So we're going to go out here and we're going to hustle hard, and we're going to go make some money so we can make sure the Harvest Institute is funded. Now, we can't do it all by ourselves, though. And a lot of y'all did actually stepped up when we brought Dr. Anderson in. A lot of y'all went to his website, harvestinstitute.org, and became donors and supporters of the Institute. And I want to say thank you all as well for following the lead. But make no mistake about it, I will never ask you to go support something when I'm not the first one to go into battle. If I'm not the first troop on the front lines going into battle, I'm not going to ask you to support nothing. When we asked y'all to do a cash mob on Freedom Home Academy, and I said, go to the website, go make a donation. I don't have their website in front of me. If I had it, I'd give it to you. When I told y'all to go make a donation to the website, first thing I did was I wrote a check for $5,000. I said, we're writing the first check, but we're writing the first check because we know that the $5,000 we give is nothing compared to the 10, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 that we could all give together. You understand? Give it together, so that's where we're going. That's what we're doing. That's what we believe in. And that's as honest as I can be about it. Now, she called me in there about 15 minutes ago, and I don't want to get in trouble. And I told y'all I know when to take orders from a Black woman when I'm supposed to. I've been listening to Black women my whole life. And I got an interesting Black woman story to tell y'all tomorrow. I'm going to tell you tomorrow on the live stream. If you want to come into my podcast, it's at drboystv.com. That's drboystv.com. I go in about 2:00 Eastern. That's the time that I aim for. I'm going to try to stick with that every day. If not, even if I'm not there, there'll usually be a video there, maybe from earlier or something like that. But I'm going to try to stick with that 2 p.m. Eastern time. So come on in, drboystv.com. If you want to also get text notifications for when I go live, just text the word voice to 31996. Somebody type that in, please. Text the word voice to 31996, and you'll be on the text list. I can text you, let you know when I'm about to go live. So I'm gone. Y'all take care. Love you guys. It was real. And see you soon. Be good.